He's Mr. Tyvis Powell from the Browns Radio Network. Hello, my friend.
What's up, buddy?
Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
We're all right. But before we get to the Browns, what do you think of this weekend? Let's start with the game where, your two favorite teams that you played for, Seattle and San Francisco. Your Seahawks look pretty darn good, bud.
It was from the opening kickoff, I said, this is going to get bad. Those injuries finally have caught up to San Fran. It was wild. I thought that Kyle and Robert Saleh did a wonderful job getting them this far, but at the end of the day, you need the players to make plays, and they just didn't have enough. And that Seahawks defense is legit. I mean, they were showing the stats that they're in some categories they were as good as the teams back when the LOB was there. So I was like, yeah, they looked the part. Sam Darnold suffering the oblique injury. I thought that would play a factor, but he looked good on some of his throws. So I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. And then you lose Zach Charbonnet, but then Kenneth Walker ended up having a game. So the Seahawks just had an answer for everything, and they played flawlessly from start to finish.
All right, so this is one of those technical questions that Jeff and I were kicking around a little bit in the back that might be for the football nerds and only the football nerds.
Uh-oh.
What do you call a guy like Nick Emenwari? Because it feels like we're getting more and more of these guys who is a safety, corner, linebacker, I don't know what the hell to call him, for the Seattle Seahawks. And it feels like we're getting more and more of these guys in the league. Like Kyle Hamilton is another one of those. You could put Derwin James in there. Maybe he was the start for the Chargers. What do we do with these guys? Because they feel like they're just like the ultimate cheat code of any defense.
Yeah, so you remember the term box safety, remember? And that just kind of went away.
Yeah.
As these guys have gotten that. Well, to me, it's like a form of box safety. Like it's a guy who's just a player. But it's like a form of
Easy,
box
bud.
safety. You just stop it. My dog is going. He's going to get his hair cut. And I guess he just figured out that's where he's.
Oh
going.
no! That poor thing is gonna be scared.
He ain't going to be scared. He did this so many times. But it's just a playmaker. It's a guy that understands the game of football and knows how to make plays. Guys that got really fast processing systems that can diagnose a play and go make it real quick. It's like having a linebacker. It's like how JOK was like an undersized linebacker. But
Right.
He just
what? He's a good one too.
It's kind of like that. That's kind of where we are with. And I think that the league is doing a good job of understanding that certain players got certain skill sets and they maximizing it.
What'd you think of the other NFC game, the Rams and the Bears, and Caleb Williams' incredible throw at the end of regulation, but the Rams still getting it done?
That man is truly like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's some of the stuff that he does. It's like when you see it, it's like that's not what you're supposed to do. Football 101 says you're not supposed to do that, and somehow, some way, he makes it work. And it's just like, well, okay, I guess you can do it. So when you get guys like that, you can't coach it out of them. You just got to coach them and just coach with it, Because Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be special if he went by the book. So Caleb Williams is the same of that. He can just do certain things that most quarterbacks cannot.
Tyvis Powell joining us on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Buckeye, of course, former NFL defensive back along the way, now working for us with the Browns Radio Network. So always good to catch up with him along the way. What do you make of Kevin Stefanski getting hired in Atlanta, my friend?
Actually, I kind of like that place for him. Now, the quarterback situation is a little weird, but playmakers, I like him having the certain playmakers that he has. And I think that if he's got to make sure Bijan get the ball. I don't want none of this under 20 carry stuff that they did with Nick Chubb. They'll run him out of there if they do that. But I think you got Drake London. You got to find a way to get Kyle Pitts. We know how he loves tight ends. Kyle Pitts had an unbelievable season. They find a way to re-sign Kyle Pitts. I think that it could be a really good stop for him. I think he's got to go back to that old Stefanski offense, not this stuff we've seen here for the last 2 years. The first 4 seasons before Deshaun Watson got here, that offense, I think that would suit what Atlanta has personnel-wise fine.
It's interesting to me, Tyvis, that Kevin, from the national perspective, the 8 wins the last 2 seasons were overlooked, and they emphasized what he did the first 4 years here. Should the Browns have done the same thing?
that is such a coin flip with that, because it's like, I don't know, like I feel like the players still responded to Kevin. Obviously, you can see how they played them last few games. Like they still competed. So I don't think the players necessarily quit on him. The whole thing took a turn when they fired that offensive staff. It just never was right. From that moment on, that they fired that whole offensive staff and switched up their playbook, the team just never really looked the same. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that they made, in my personal opinion. Because it's like Kevin got to where he was because of the certain style of offense he ran, and then it's just kind of like you changing it up and making him learn a new offense that don't really suit him. So I just think it was just a mistake, and it just kind of messed up everything, in my personal opinion.
What do you make of Kevin Stefanski taking Tommy Rees down to Atlanta with him, which is what's being rumored to this point?
I figured that was coming. I figured whoever they got as the new guy wouldn't probably retain him. So that makes sense. I mean, obviously Kevin's got a lot of respect for Tommy Rees, and he sees something in him, so he wants to keep him on his hip. And I'm sure in a couple of years, somebody will probably come and get Tommy Rees off his staff.
There's a kind of a low rumble that people are starting to feel like Jim Schwartz is going to get the head coaching job here in Cleveland. You've played for a lot of different coaches, both obviously, coming up, and then once you got to the NFL, for a lot of different coaches. What would you think of playing for a guy like Jim Schwartz, his style of football, his demeanor, the way it might work here?
Man, I think that the players responded to him. I still think he's the most impactful hire that Kevin Stefanski had. I mean, he changed the whole identity of how the Cleveland Browns were. So I think players will respond to him. If you're going to fire a head coach and you want a whole regime change, I feel like you got to get rid of everybody, and I don't want him to linger in things that Kevin was doing, and bring it to this next year, because clearly whatever it wasn't working anymore. And that was the whole point of the change. So I'm not a huge fan of keeping guys around that was here for the old regime if you was going to change it to begin with.
It's exactly where I am, Tyvis. It's how I feel with Jim Schwartz as well. It's like I don't want anything there. If you're going to blow this thing up, blow it up. Don't half-step it. And it feels like if you do that, you're half-stepping.
I just feel like that's kind of where we've been at, in line with the whole firing Kevin and not AB thing. Like, it's like you halfway blowing it up. If you're going to do it, just do it. So to me, I feel like that'd be the same thing if you hire Jim Schwartz. Like, to me, don't get me wrong, I think Jim Schwartz could be fine as a coach, but like, I don't know. I feel like if you had a problem with Kevin, then you should have had a problem with everybody on Kevin's staff. Like, I just don't think you should be promoting within. I think you could probably get somebody else, because it's time. If you need a new voice in the building, then you need a whole new voice in the building. And then I think the whole retaining them thing, like I'd be fine if they kept him as a defensive coordinator, but like, is the players going to listen more to him, or is they going to listen to the new guy? Like that, now you got a conflict of interest there, especially if you hiring, Grant Udinski, like a young guy. I don't know. The whole thing is just kind of, I got to see it play out. It sounds weird, but sometimes the weird stuff works.
Sean McDermott let go in Buffalo today. He immediately jumps to the head of who's the best coach available list. What would you think about Sean McDermott in Cleveland? And should the Haslams be talking to him immediately?
I mean, yeah, the defensive guy as a coach. I mean, you're definitely getting rid of Jim Schwartz if that's the case. I mean, Sean McDermott is fine, but can Sean McDermott take you over the top? I mean, this is a guy who just had the best quarterback in the playoffs and they couldn't get it done. So, like, now granted, that was all on Josh, but like, you got all those weapons. You have less here, and you couldn't get it done with what you had there. You think you'll get it done with less here? Like, that's, I don't know about that one either.
So you would lean what way in this coaching search if you're the Browns?
I mean, honestly, I think they're going to lean more towards a young offensive guy. I just think that's kind of what it was when you hired Kevin. He was a young offensive-minded guy. It had some success until things changed up, and I think that they want to get back to that again. So I think that they're probably going to go with the young offensive-minded guy. You got the Shieldhouse and Udinski as the two guys who a lot of people want to see. I mean, okay. Okay, if they can get it done, I mean, if their offense is that good and they can get it done, my thing is I just need them to make sure that they hire a coach that can get the respect of the players, that hold players accountable. That, to me, this team needs discipline. They need a guy who they all respect and can get the best out of them and won't allow these guys to step out of the line, or that will punish them for getting out of line and things like that, no matter who it was, whether it was Myles Garrett or the guy on the practice squad like that. So I think that they got to get a figure that's not afraid to discipline, because to me, I just feel like a lot of the times, a lot of things just kind of Kevin kind of let a lot of things slide by. And I think it just kind of showed up on Sunday when you just seeing how undisciplined we were at a certain time. So I hope the next guy that they get, it gets a ton of respect from the players, and that will hold these guys accountable.
National title game tonight down in Miami, Indiana versus Miami. What are you thinking, buddy? What are you thinking on this one?
You would think that Indiana should just go in there and just do their thing, but I don't know. Mario Cristobal does a great job of overcoming the odds. I mean, look where he is. He's in the national championship game, and nobody picked Miami to do anything. Heck, they was on the outside looking in just 2 weeks before the final CFP ranking came out. So they've done a really good job with the underdog story. He's going to find a way to make this game physical. I think Indiana matches their physicality just the same. I mean, you think about what both teams did to the Buckeyes. They both really dominated in the trenches. So to me, it's about it's probably be one of them last possession games. Whatever quarterback gets the last possession. I think Fernando Mendoza is obviously a better quarterback than Carson Beck, but Carson Beck has been playing really well. He's been showing that he's been in this league for a lot of years. Nothing is really causing confusion. He's being smart with the football and things like that. So I think he has to play a mistake-free game, which is hard because Indiana's defense is very disruptive, probably the most disruptive defense in the country, and they do a great job of forcing takeaways. So if he can take care of that, I think Mark Fletcher for Miami is going to have a really big game running the ball, and they're going to have to try to make Indiana one-dimensional. If they let the run game and Fernando Mendoza do their thing, it's going to be a long day for Miami. But if they can make it one-dimensional, I think they'll give them the best chance to win this game.
All right, as a former player, I gotta ask you a couple questions involving former player things. You ready?
Yep.
Apparently, Rams players were putting cayenne pepper in their socks to stay warm against the Bears. Have you heard of this before? Is this a thing?
I've never heard of that. Never heard of that one. I don't know if that works. I was more of a double sock guy and make sure that when I'm on the bench, I make sure I'm standing on a little platform. When you sit down, it's like a little heated platform that shoots up air. And then before I take the field, I'm going to go put my feet up to the blowtorch.
Second thing that was going on in that game on the Bears sideline, apparently they had chicken broth, and then they had hot chocolate as well for the Bears players, along with a canister of mini marshmallows to keep things classy.
Oh.
Have you heard of that before? And
I haven't heard of the mini marshmallows, but the other two, 1,000% I have had some broth or some hot chocolate on the sideline. Yes, that does happen. That does warm you up when you get that little jolt of heat in your body. It does warm you up.
And why don't some guys wear long sleeves in just god-awful freezing conditions?
Because they're trying to show you how tough they are. And
I wanted a technical football answer, and I just got tough.
It's very frowned upon to wear sleeves. I remember when I became a senior, my last year at O State, we made the decision that no matter how cold it was, we're not putting on those sleeves, because we had a coach that said, y'all ain't wearing no sleeves. So we just embraced it and said, we're not going to wear no sleeves. And you put that Vaseline on, it actually is not bad at all. You just got to make sure you reapply at halftime. If you don't reapply at halftime, you in for a rude awakening in that second half.
Tyvis, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.
See y'all later. Go Bucks, go Browns, go Cavs, go Guards.
And
go Bearcats.
There you go. Tyvis Powell joining us on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline.